Hi, I'm Kai, the host of the Beyond Our Screens podcast. Today we're talking to Camille about everything from hitting partner to setting boundaries. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm so excited to talk to you because I feel like you're going to have a very different perspective as a partnered streamer. So even just starting off, do you ever feel pressure being partnered? Like whenever people are like, oh, you're partnered.
Kind of weird, right? Because on one hand, I feel like people treat me differently for no reason, right? Nothing's really changed. I just have a check mark next to my name. But for example, one thing I've noticed is that people reach out to me much less. Other
Oh.
content creators that are not partnered feel like it's such a barrier, right? They're like, oh, partnered streamer, I'm not gonna reach out, I'm scared. And while, I haven't changed as a person. And the other thing is, I definitely feel like because when I got partnered, I then changed some of my content. I started doing a lot of Final Fantasy, for example, right? And because of that, obviously, I've had some viewership drop off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very aware when, I don't hit partner numbers anymore in streams sometimes. When I'm like, oh, people can see I'm partner, but I'm doing quote unquote worse than a non partner.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
it does feel like you're kind of being judged for it, which is it's a weird feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I feel freed because when I was trying to get partnered, even when I wasn't actively pushing or anything, I always felt like I had this pressure that I wanted to get partnered, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I should play something that's gonna perform well. I should do this because my numbers will be better. Oh, my numbers were worse today, so I'm further away from partner. So I felt a lot of pressure to do well. And now I'm like, well, I've got the check mark. They can't take it away from me.
I'm in there now.
Yeah, and now I can do whatever I want because they can't take it away. So it is
Ooh.
quite freeing in a way, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I dove right in. I didn't even ask. Can you introduce yourself? I was just so excited because I feel like I don't know. I have a few friends that are partnered or are very close to being
Yeah.
partnered, and they've
Mm,
said similar things where they're like, even my acquaintances don't reach
yeah.
out to me as much. It's like we used to do
Yeah.
collabs every so often, or they invite me
Mm,
to
mm,
their
mm.
events, and now it's like as my numbers get higher, it's they don't want to intrude on my space, but I thought we were friends.
Yeah. No, exactly, it's that, right? It's like, I feel like the most people that reach out to me now are other partners, but that obviously restricts the pool a lot.
Hmm.
So, it is odd because when I was just starting out, people were reaching out to me all the time now, and I don't know if I've changed, if the numbers make it harder for people, or if it's a bit of both, but it is very weird.
Oh. Okay, sorry, now you can introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Camille. I am an airship captain VTuber. I am a cozy streamer, and often on stream you'll see my cat Daisy. I stream all Final Fantasy 14. Sorry, I said her name and she turned to me. And I do a lot of cozy little indie games. So I'm excited to be here. Oh,
Oh
and
my god.
sometimes I sing songs.
Oh, I love that. I also love that you have your VTuber tag phrase, is I always call myself a fake VTuber. I'm like, I have no lore. I am not anything. I'm just a girl.
No, but I am literally just a human, right? So sometimes like, oh, I'm like a god, I'm a dragon, I'm a demon. I'm like, I'm just a girl.
When you were developing your OC, did you ever have
Mm.
feelings of, oh, this has to be more intricate to stand out?
Um, so I think the way I developed the character is a bit unusual because I had a concept in mind, right? I wanted to be like CEO type, like corporate lady.
Ooh.
And then when I got the first design back, it wasn't quite the vibe. It was more of a uniform type look. And I was like, actually, this looks really cool. Don't change it. I'll just make it captain instead of CEO, right? So that's literally the depth I went into. I think never felt too pressured to have much of a lore, just because I wasn't planning on role playing as a streamer per se. I just
Mm.
wanted to be me, right? So I didn't really feel that pressure. And in retrospect, I almost kind of regret going for the captain thing because now that I get to meet people in person at conventions and stuff, it feels so cringe to be like, "Hi, I'm Captain. Who do I think I am?" You know?
Yeah, even on your form, you're like, okay, so online it is Captain Camille, but just call me Camille, please.
Please just call me Camille. Yeah.
I loved that so much
Linguistics.
because I get it. Because people are like, Kai, Caillou, Kai, ooh, woos? And I'm like, yeah, it's the ooh woo thing, but you can just call me Kai. Like, just drop the last part of it. That's not even relevant. Don't worry about it.
That answers my question because I also wasn't sure. It's like, Cayuse? Cayuse?
I'm like, in
I understood the
hindsight,
confusion.
maybe I would make a better name, but also I like it a lot. So
Yeah? What would your name be if you could change it?
oh gosh, probably my actual name.
Really?
Just because it's different, I'd probably just spell it differently. So I can't be as
Oh.
Googleable.
I did have a conversation with someone where I'm not gonna say the name, but let's pretend their name is Sarah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah's like, "Wait, your name isn't actually Camille?" I'm like, "No, are you insane? Wait, is your name actually Sarah?" And she's like, "Yeah."
It would throw people off for sure.
I'm
They'd
like,
be like,
"No, that's
wait.
not my name."
I love that like Camille is like it's a name. You're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
Camille. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am kind of shocked as well that it's not your actual name.
It's not my name.
That's so
But
funny.
I did want like a quote unquote normal name is really what I was going for.
Mm. Have you ever gone to any conventions as a streamer?
Yeah, I've done a few. I recently came back last week actually from V Expo in Birmingham, which is
Oh,
the UK's first VTuber Expo, which is really, really cool.
that is so
Um,
cool. What the heck?
yeah, so fun. It was really nice. It was their first year, and they did such a good job. It was a really great experience. Just being surrounded by people who all know what a VTuber is kind of crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I've done Dokumi a few times as well, which is in Germany. It's an anime convention. And I've done TwitchCon as well a few times.
Ooh, how do you navigate that as a VTuber? Do you hide your face? Do you have rules for pictures? How do you?
Mm, I used to be. I think the more time passes, the less strict I am about it. I don't know how about you, but when I started as a VTuber, right, I was very much like, no, no one can know what I look like. This is, no personal information.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I usually wear a mask, but like it's 50% for health reasons, 50% because it offers some anonymity. I don't really mind people taking pictures that much. I will if it's other content creators, we'll just take selfies together. Some, I guess, community members that I trust, I will take like a Polaroid with them. And I usually ask people not to post it, but I'm not that strict about it anymore. It's also because of a very standard appearance. Like,
Mm.
if you Google Vietnamese girl stock photo, you'll actually get something that looks a lot like me.
Oh my god.
So I'm not too concerned. But how would you? Do you like full anonymity or?
I've never been to anything as a streamer, but
Yeah.
I'm also at the point where it's like I haven't even streamed like that long. Like I started streaming I think
Right.
2022. Yeah, I think
It's been a hot minute.
yeah, I think it's been like 2 years now actually. But like I think because of like how I treat streaming, it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
a lot because I'm like, I stream sometimes. I post
Yeah.
sometimes. I'm a casual, so it doesn't feel like very like intense for me, but because of that, I think I've grown really close to a lot of people and
Mhm.
it makes me want to share more. So I have like
Mhm.
some people know what I look like. Some people
Mhm.
like have like seen pictures of me and then I'll post like blurry pictures of myself on Twitter. So I'm kind of like on the edge of like, oh, I want to share more, but also it feels like I shouldn't because I'm scared that if I break immersion, people will leave, which is a very strange concept
Mm.
because I really don't think I'll be like faceless forever.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. But I am going to TwitchCon next month, so that's going to be an interesting thing to navigate.
Oh my god, have fun. I've never been to TwitchCon and it looks so fun.
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's gonna be fun, but also I'm like, do I it's so awkward because I'm like, how do I meet up with people? Do I tell them what I'm wearing? Do I show them what I
Oh my
look like?
god. Last time. someone was like, because I didn't know them very well. We're mutuals on Twitter, right? But we didn't really know each other. So when we were gonna meet up, they sent me a photo of their shoes. So watch me go through a very busy convention, just staring at people's shoes,
Oh, I love that.
trying to find them. Usually I just give people like an outfit thing and a location. I just send them my
Mm.
outfit. Yeah.
You don't make it as hard as shoes.
Shoes was insane.
That is kind
It
of
was so
wild.
hard.
Yeah, I feel like meeting place would be good. And then I feel like I
Yeah.
talk enough to where if someone heard me talk, they'd be like, oh,
Mm.
that's Kai. But also I'm like, I don't know, because
It-
online voices
yeah.
versus IRL, I feel like they
Yeah.
definitely, there's a little difference.
And it's usually quite noisy at those places as
Oh
well.
yeah, definitely. Oh, good point. I definitely am not loud. I'm not a loud person, especially not in public. I get too scared. I'm like, ugh.
I run into the same problem, yeah.
Oh, really? Would you
Yeah, I'm
consider
quite
yourself
soft-spoken.
shy?
I don't think I'm shy, but I'm soft-spoken.
Mm.
And so when I speak loudly for a long time, it just completely ruins my voice.
Oh.
So yeah, I think I'm not shy, but I'm awkward.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I feel that.
yeah, like I don't feel scared about it, but then I'm like, oh God, what do I do? Where do I go from there? And then, especially when I meet community members, I don't want to let them down. I don't want them
Oh.
to be like, oh, I met Camille. It was kind of disappointing. Like, I don't think they would realistically think that. But I just want to make it a nice experience, right? I want people to be like, oh, yeah, that was great. That was fun. That was cool. And then I'm like, oh God, what do I say? Oh no, oh no, what do I say next? Oh, how was your day? And, kind
Oh,
of intense each other.
definitely. I feel like already meeting people is
Yeah.
stressful, and then meeting people that have an expectation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want them to think, oh, she's not like she's on stream.
Oh, yeah. Would you say that you're pretty similar, or like you like have the same personality online and offline?
Mm, that's a good question. I think I'm more extroverted online because obviously on stream you just kind of talk nonstop. While when I'm offline, I just kind of don't really talk. Um,
Oh my
I'm
gosh, we're
definitely
the
much
same.
more switched on. Oh my God, you and me the same for real.
It's
I'm usually pretty switched on when I stream, right? I'm trying to be engaging and
mhm.
focused. And when I'm offline, I just kind of go on standby mode and astral project into a different dimension.
Yes, it's so funny because like my mom watches my streams and she's always like,
Oh,
I've never heard
hey.
you talk this much in my life.
That's so cute though.
Isn't it? Well,
Aw.
until I say something crazy on stream and she's
Oh.
there. And I'm like, oh no. I'm so sorry,
Please
Mom.
explain, Kai. What did this mean?
Yeah, I'm like, hey Mom. I literally told her, I was like, just join stream with it like turned down, say something, and then I'll get everyone to behave. And then turn your volume up because
Oh my God.
like as we say crazy stuff on there.
Oh, but that's so cute that she watches your streams.
It
That's so
is.
sweet.
I love I don't know, I love the like somehow becoming an extrovert online. I feel like it's so
Yeah.
common, but it's such a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, yeah. It is very weird how so many VTubers are introverts.
Oh yeah. Most of us
Yeah.
are, huh?
Most of us are.
And the people who aren't are the people who are like inviting you to a collab.
Yeah. Literally, we're all just sitting there. Like, you know how, I don't know if you've seen those, but there's so many tweets and posts about people feeling really lonely and isolated in the community. And
Yes.
I do feel like it's because we all sit in our corner just waiting for someone to reach out to us.
Mm, definitely.
And so no one does it.
I feel like a lot of my loneliness comes from like, I think it's like I like to be surrounded by people that are kind of in line with my motivation. And then
Mm.
whenever like obviously motivation like, fluctuates. So it's like whenever
Yeah.
you're friends with someone and then you're still motivated and they're kind of in a slump, you're almost like, oh no, like what do we talk about now?
Yeah.
Or like that's where like I come from because I relate so much on commonality that whenever it becomes like a
Mm.
thing where it's like, oh, I don't really want to talk content, I'm like, oh no, what do we talk about? You
Right. So
start
wait,
realizing.
what are your motivations then?
I think that like I'm kind of at a strange in between right now because
Mm-mm.
IRL incredibly motivated to just be like healthier, go out more, achieve more things. And
Oh
then
my god, you're the same as me.
oh my gosh, wait, I love that. Oh no, now we're gonna have to talk about this later. You're like, oh, what are our health and wellness goals? But like, I don't know. And then content wise, I'm thinking about getting like certified in like Adobe Premiere so that I have like an actual editing certification, because I've been working at the same job for a while and I'm like, I should probably start thinking about trying to move higher up in the company or leaving the company for other projects. And also like content wise, I've definitely taken a step back in recent weeks, but overall, I really want to lean into it more because I feel like I've never done myself like the service of really, really trying. And I want to see
Right.
what I can accomplish whenever I put my mind to it. So that's kind of
I
where I
understand,
am
yeah.
now. And so it's like whenever my friends are like, yeah, we want to grow, but then it's obviously like, oh, I don't feel like editing today. And it's
Right.
like, it's so easy to fall into it where you're like, you know what? Me either. And so I feel like I have to like isolate myself a lot to make sure I stay on track and I don't just like
Right.
match the energy. I think that's like my big thing.
I do get it to some extent, right? Because going to like conventions, for example, and seeing people do those amazing things and hear them talk about cool like content plans, it really like hypes me up and motivates me. Whenever I'm in a slump, if I meet other content creators, it motivates me to try harder. So I do get it.
Oh, yeah. What were your expectations whenever you entered the content creation space?
Ooh, so for some context, I've been in the space for a while. So before I was a VTuber, I did just song covers online. And I think it's kind of a classic pipeline of YouTube cover singer to VTuber, right?
Yes.
And so I fell into that pipeline with a lot of my friends. And so my first motivation was when Hall Ivy and Gen 1 came out. And I was like, oh my god, they're so cool. This is awesome. I want to try this. And a lot of the motivation was, all my friends are doing it. I had FOMO. I also wanted to try, right? So I decided to give it a shot. And as I was researching and I found out the cost and everything, and I said, okay, if I want to do this, I actually want to try it, right? It's kind of what you said, which is I want to see how far I can get if I really put my mind to it. I just wanted to know and climb, basically, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
going into it, I just came in with the expectation of I want to grow. I want to do it for fun, but I want to grow. A lot of the fun I found was in growth and improvement. And I think that stayed my mindset for almost 3 years. It's only a bit recently that I feel like my mindset has changed.
What kind of mindset goes into that?
It's hard, right? I think for me, a big realization I came to was I think I have hit almost the full extent of my potential. And what I mean by that is I think to reach a certain size and, be like the people that you see at the top, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make, right? I think one of them is time. Just all your time is gonna go into it. You might want to not work a full-time job. You might want to go part-time or quit your job if you really wanna, take this seriously. All your finances are gonna go into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your personal life will be very affected. It's very difficult to have relationship outside of the content creation space if a lot of your friends and potential partners will end up being fellow content creators, and it's a lot of sacrifices, right? And that gives you a chance to make it. You might make all these sacrifices, spend all your time, money, sacrifice relationships, and still not make it. And I think for me it was this realization of I am not willing to make these sacrifices. I am not going to, and I need to be realistic as what I can expect from my, growth without being willing to make those sacrifices. I can't not make, not do what it takes and expect the results anyway. It's just not going to happen. And I think this realization, and a lot of people when I was saying this were like, "No, you can do it. I believe." But it was almost freeing. I was like, "Okay, I think with what I am willing to give, I have done what I can. I have seen how far I can get. And now it's okay. I can take it easy. I have done it. And
Oh,
now I know."
wow. That's
Yeah, it was a big realization.
that's so interesting to hear. Like, is it make sense that it sacrifice? I mean, what's
Yeah.
it saying? It's like, if it's not one thing, it's another. It's kind of how energy is too. It's like you have to allocate things, and you only have so much energy and time in a day. And yeah, it's like, well, I feel like enlightened right now.
Well, I can't. It's like I can't want an omelet and not break the eggs, you know? And I
Exactly.
realized there's things that are just important to me, right? I love being able to go on frequent holidays, for example. We all know
Hmm.
that taking breaks is usually not great for numbers, right? And I don't want to be held back by that. I don't want to not travel and see my parents, for example, because I gotta stream as an anime girl. Like, it just, think about it. It seems silly as like, in 10 years, I'm not gonna be doing this anymore. But I will, in 10 years, I will still want to have friends. I will want to have,
Hmm.
I don't want to die alone.
Yeah, you have to invest in more than just your content creation goals.
Exactly. So I realized I'm just not willing to make the sacrifice for a chance of making it.
In this space, we always talk about how to
Hmm.
continue grinding. It's like, here's how to balance all of this stuff and still keep growing. And I feel
Yeah.
like it really is just kind of slowing down burnout more often than not. Is that the balance really is like, oh, instead of doing this thing, like, oh, instead of streaming for 5 hours, stream for 3 and then edit for 2. And then you're still making
Yeah. Yeah.
content. But it's like, okay, I'm still at my computer by myself for the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And
And
still
maybe
just
it's
for
not
a chance.
even. Maybe it's just like, hey, maybe I just want to chill and watch anime for 2 hours,
Oh
I
yeah.
want to be able to do that.
It does, as a small streamer, I will say, it
Mm.
kind of slaps being able to cancel stream just like a couple hours before and not feel too guilty about it, because we're
Mm-mm.
still so small and so close that it's like people are very understanding, and I still feel comfortable being able to like divulge information about like my mental health and my energy and like what I'm up to in life.
Mm-mm.
Whereas I think if I had a higher viewership, I'd almost feel
Mm-mm.
almost like trauma dumpy, which is very strange, just like
Ah.
forcing people to hear me like like qualms about life. Like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what the dev team at work did today. But I don't feel guilty in a smaller space because it almost feels like just talking to
Mm.
friends, you know? So I feel like that pressure
Mhm.
does come, and it's like if someone raids me and it's like a bigger raid, I can feel my mindset shift to like be a good
Mm.
content creator, don't be yourself fully, like be as digestible as
Interesting.
possible. So I feel like it's, I don't know, it
Interesting,
feels
yeah.
similar to like the idea of where you are now. It's like, oh, you know what, I do feel those shifts of I
Yeah.
have to do XYZ too for these
Yeah.
people to stay or stick around. It's very
Mhm.
strange.
No, I get it though, because the one thing I hate editing. I
You are
hate
so
it
valid.
with a burning passion. I just hate it so much. And one thing you will see, I'm sure you've seen it all the time on Twitter, is hey, you need to make content for other platforms to grow. You need to make shorts, you need to make TikToks, right? Like one of the most common devices. And it's true to some extent. But I hate it so much. And I was trying to do it because I was like, to grow, I have to do it.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, why bother? So I was just like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I hate doing it. Why would I spend my hobby time, right? This is not my
Hmm.
job. Why am I spending it doing something I objectively just dislike doing? What's the point? So yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore.
Love
And I
that.
feel so free.
Love that. I feel like I have times. I hate short form content. That's my thing.
Mm-mm.
I think that short form content is one of the worst things that's ever happened to us. But also, I have a background in filmmaking, so I'm a little bit biased. Because
Oh.
I just feel like the art of like filming and videos is kind of being destroyed with short form content because people can't
Oh.
enjoy long form content as much anymore. Like it's more
Mm-hmm.
of like an event now. It's like, oh, I'm about to eat a meal. Now I'll watch a long form video. Or like things like that. And it's very
Mm.
strange to me. So that's, I hate short form content, but I enjoy long form a lot. But I don't know. It is one of those things where it's like, well, if you want someone to watch your long form content, how do they find you? Your short form content.
Interesting.
And I'm like, ugh, no, please. Don't make
Oh
me.
no. Oh,
But
it's just so heinous.
but if you don't like short form content, where would you say like your growth came from?
Oh man. I think a lot of people are gonna hate what I'm gonna say next. Networking, I would say. And I think there's a lot of negative connotations with networking, right? of people see it kind of as cloud chasing or making connections for your personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this space, it is so hard to grow on your own. Um, because even if someone you get lucky and someone randomly raids you because they're playing Overwatch and you're playing Overwatch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if they don't know anything about you, you might not really grow from it, right? Because they're like, I don't know this person. I'm gonna go watch someone I know.
Oh yeah.
But if a friend of you raids into you and everyone's like, oh wait, I've seen Kai in their chat, I've seen this person. They were really cool, they were nice. They're more likely to stay. So I feel like it is really, really important. And I like to think of it as, you are obviously hoping to grow, but it's more like you're trying to find like-minded people, similar communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to network people that you hate, or you're like, I hate this content, but I'm doing it for gain. No, you're just trying to make friends, to be honest, just trying to find cool colleagues, basically. And
Yeah.
then you mutually benefit from each other because both your communities will grow from that, right? I think there's a lot of negative connotation with it, but in the end, I think that's basically how most of my growth happened. Was just like a lot of friends and me just sharing our communities with each other.
I feel like that is very accurate. Just because one of my friends, her growth has been absolutely insane. I follow her
Mm-hmm,
across all her socials. She does not
mm-hmm.
post. She does not post. But I do
Yeah.
see her in other people's communities and she's incredibly
Mm-hmm.
active there and she's like
Yeah.
very invested in like her friend groups and I'm like, wow, that
Mm-hmm.
is so interesting to me. And it's just
Yeah.
it's hard for me personally because most of my time on Twitch whenever I'm like watching people is while I work. So I'm typically
Mm-hmm.
lurking on people. So like I'm a very supportive viewer, but it's also like people don't know I'm there. Like
Yeah.
so it's like I'm like halfway there where I'm like, I know your content, I know I like you, but now I actually need to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah. And people do feel really awkward about approaching other people, right? Like I do get it. You don't want to be advertising yourself. That's bad
Hmm.
manners. But it is hard. And the other factor is just always gonna be luck. You just gotta get lucky.
Oh yeah. Shout out to all the creators that admit that RNG is like a very large part of becoming a creator. Because I feel
Yeah.
like when people pretend like it's like, oh no, I was just so consistent and I did all of these things, it's like, okay, but we also have to get a little bit lucky.
Yeah, yeah. Like your hard work makes it that it puts you in a position to then get lucky.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
I feel
you
like
do
it's a
need some
lot
luck.
of the like putting yourself in a position where you get opportunities and you have to like
Mhm.
take advantage of as many of them as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's no good if Iron Mouse discovers you, but you haven't streamed in a month and made no
exactly.
content.
Me looking at my page right now, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, whoa, what do you mean? But it's very true because I know like even whenever my friends and I like host events and we put out like
Mhm.
applications, there are people who'll be like, oh, I love this game. And then we like go through their socials to see like how much you guys post, how much are you streaming? Because again, it is much like networking, like you guys want to get something out of it, but we also want to get
Mhm.
something out of it. It's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
very back and forth. But it's like, sometimes people will be really passionate about a game, but they won't really have streamed or posted anything in a long time. It's like, oh well,
Mhm.
whenever we're having to like choose between people, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna pick the person that's going to be able to like advertise this a bit more because they're
Yeah.
consistent over someone who's not. But it is I feel like that also makes like content weird whenever I don't know, because I feel like numbers, I don't know, as humans I feel like we have a really hard time conceptualizing numbers. And I
That's
feel
true,
like
yeah.
yeah, and I feel like viewership wise, it's like I'm like 20 viewers versus 40 viewers. It's like, yes, that's like 2 times the viewership. But overall, it's like
Mhm.
for people who are big streamers, they're like, guys, those are, that's just like, that's chump change for me.
It is so weird, right? I think over time I've gotten used to having very few numbers to very high numbers, right?
Mm.
And it's kind of weird how similar it feels in the end. It just feels the same. But I had this moment where I was standing in a softball field and I was looking around and I was like, okay, wow, all those people in the field right now. And it felt like so many people. It's like, oh my God, that's how so many people usually watch me when I stream. And just the idea of those, I guess, 50 or so people staring at me doing a thing was terrifying.
Oh gosh, it sounds, yeah, no, I
Oh my god.
don't say that's gonna freak
Yeah.
me out.
Oh no, for real though. Yeah, you're right. We have such a hard time just
Yeah,
visualizing that amount of people. It's wild.
I like to think of it as like classrooms where I'm like, if I were a teacher of like
Mm.
20 to 30 students, yeah, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, that's enough. That's
That's
enough.
true.
I'm satisfied with that. I can handle that. Yeah, what you were saying about it, like feeling similar, it really, it's very strange because you know how like you
Mm-hmm.
can like see how many people have like come through your stream. One day I
Yeah.
had like a stream and I looked back at it and it was like, oh, 1K people. And I was like, that's
Uh-huh.
the most amount of people I've ever had just like pass through my stream in a day. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
it felt the exact same as whenever it's 300 or 100 or 500. Like, it feels the same because at the end of the day, you're just playing your silly game and talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. And actually, it does kind of remind me what you're saying earlier, right? That you don't feel comfortable, I guess, being very transparent and honest about what's going on in your life when there's like, for example, a big raid or something, right?
Hmm.
But I think from like my personal experience, I haven't really experienced that because I feel like when your community grows, and like that's not just a raid, right? That's just your community growing.
Hmm.
It still feels the same. It's just more buddies, you know?
Yeah, you just have more friends.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think the vibe actually changed. Personally, you know, from when I started to now, it feels kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, I know that maybe it's just like if it's a spike, it freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
I think spikes are, I don't know, they make me very uncomfortable. And also like
Mm-hmm.
all of the like studies over like this era of like fast fame, I think that's where like my fear comes from because with short form
Mm.
content, people get just like thrown into stardom and so many people just kind of end up lower than where they started
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know how to maintain. And so I think that's like might be where my fear comes from is like, oh, I don't
Oh.
know if I can maintain this. Like, please let me go back to my like slow, steady growth.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. It's like, oh my god, there's 200 people now. I gotta entertain them
Yeah,
somehow. Oh
it's like
god.
I'm so grateful that you all are here, but I am also a little bit scared of disappointing you and disappointing the person that sent them over. I think that's a really big thing too. Do you ever
That's
feel like
true.
pressure like that still? Like if someone reads you, you're like, oh no, I have to make sure that their community
Oh
feels
my
nice
god,
and
yeah.
welcome.
Literally had that today, right? Especially when it's someone that you wouldn't expect to read you
Hmm.
or that, wouldn't read into you often. It's like, oh God, I gotta make the best of this one in a lifetime opportunity that I will never get again. And, sometimes, especially if someone's much bigger, I'm like, they're doing me a favor, it feels like. I'm sure
Yes.
that's not how they see it, but that's how it feels like. So I'm like, oh no, I can't mess it up. I can't let them down. I have to try so hard. But yeah, I do feel that as well, yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm glad that I'm not alone and I love that that's going to be a consistent for a while. Uh,
I think a lot of people feel that, yeah.
I feel like through this series already, I've just noticed how similar we all really are. And it's like
Mhm, mhm.
everyone is just really hard on themselves. Everyone wants to make their community proud, and they're probably an introvert in real life.
Yeah, no one wants to disappoint their community. It doesn't feel good.
It does not. Okay, earlier you mentioned like sacrifice.
Mm,
Have
mhm.
you sacrificed things to get to the point where you are now?
I think I did. I think what suffered the most for me is interpersonal relationships.
Mm.
Um, like I just noticed myself drifting apart from people. Um, like there was a there was a time I went to a friend's party and I showed up and they're like, "Oh my god, Camille, it's been so long. Where did you move to?"
Uh,
And I was like, "Oh, I moved neighborhoods. I live in this neighborhood now." They're like, "Oh, we thought you had left the country."
oh!
Because I hadn't showed up, and declined so many invites, right? Because I was streaming.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh my god, I've been such a terrible friend, and my friends thought I didn't live here anymore." Um, and that was kind of a, "Oh my god, yeah, I need to change. I can't, I can't be
Yeah.
doing this anymore."
Oh, wow. That's it's so funny to me because I feel like I came from a place where I started streaming because I had no friends because
Mm-hmm.
because I moved to a new state. So
Oh.
I was like, wow, I am friendless. Like, let me build connection. So it
Yeah.
was something where I was like, I didn't even have to like worry about it. But I think now as I've lived here longer and I'm creating new relationships, I'm like, oh gosh, like streaming is
Mm-hmm.
so hard to balance on top of everything.
It really is. Especially, right? Everyone's like, you gotta be consistent. If you stream
Hmm.
on the same days all the time, it's better. And it just, for example, I don't know about you. I don't know if you tell your friends that you're a VTuber, but I don't, right?
Hmm.
I just lie. And then
What's your
it's like,
lie?
oh, hey. Usually I just make up, oh, I'm busy out, I have plans, you
Oh,
know?
okay.
But people will be like, oh, do you want to hang out on Wednesday? And I'm like, oh, Wednesday streaming day. I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't. I have a date, you know?
Oh,
It's
I
just
love that.
make it up. And I'm like, oh no, you know, I've declined so many. It's weirdly enough, I can't do any Wednesdays anymore. Oh no, you know. So it is difficult to do both, you're right.
It's funny because mine was I go to a workout class. My trainer
Mm-hmm.
was like, Kai, where have you been? And I was like, I've been working on stuff.
I've been playing Overwatch.
Yeah. It's always so awkward to like explain because obviously
Yeah.
I have a full-time job, I'm in a relationship, I do like
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so it's like odd to explain like, yes, I take time out of my life to play video games for people on the internet and also use a VTuber. Like it's so many layers to have to explain.
Yeah.
First question, what's Twitch? Second question, what's a VTuber? Third question is always, do you get paid for that?
Oh, I
Do you
know.
get that all the time? Like whenever people like hear about it, it's like, you get paid.
So people don't ask me that. I think that's more like, why do they give you money? Like, so I had a hard time explaining to my mom because my mom's quite old, so she doesn't really understand
Mm.
technology, right? And I was explaining to her what I do. So first she thought I was a character in a video game.
Oh.
And then she understood, okay, it's not that. And she was like, okay, because I told her I make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, okay, so is it that you clear challenges in a game and then people pay you for it? I'm like, no, I'm not good at games. I'm pretty terrible, actually.
I'm the personality
Um,
hire, actually.
yeah, I'm the personality hire. And just explaining to people who don't spend any time on Twitch or anything like that people give you money because they like you, but it's
Yeah.
not because they want to date you
Mm-hmm.
or sleep with you or anything, or you're not selling something to them, right? You're not just giving them a product. It's a very weird and foreign concept for people. Like, why would they give you money? That is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. I
It
still
is.
don't understand why people do it. And after 3 years, I'm like, why do you guys give me money? That is weird.
It is a strange concept.
Yeah, yeah. So I think people are less shocked that I make money. I think people don't quite understand where the money comes from and why.
Yeah, that is, yes. It is hard to explain because my mom will
Mhm.
ask, right? And so my mom is a huge advocate for my nephews playing video games now because she's like,
Mhm.
my daughter plays video games. She's not good. So if my nephews grow up playing video games, they'll become good and they'll be even more appealing. Like that's her thought process. And
Oh my god.
she's like, I'm being a business partner right now by letting this kid play Roblox on my phone. That is
Just
her
building
thought
a business
process.
empire.
Yes, but I don't think she fully understands why or where it comes from. Like people will gift her a sub and she's like, wow, thank you. And later on she's like, oh, it's so nice that they gave that to me. I'm like, you realize that they like spent money to give that to you, right? And she's like,
Mhm.
no. I'm like, that's where it comes from. So it's like
Yeah.
breaking down all the streams of income just
Yeah,
within
yeah.
a stream. It's like, oh gosh, like where do we even start here?
Ah, it's difficult. I think the one that people understand the most is ad revenue. That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to people.
Yes. I feel like I should just start saying that. Oh, ads.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. That
cool.
people are like, okay, that makes sense.
That might just have to be my go-to now. Like, oh, it's just ads.
Even though it's usually not that much for a lot of us.
True. I feel like another thing that's really interesting is like I guess, following. Because I feel like whenever people see following, they expect a certain amount of viewers. Like they expect
Mm-hmm.
there to be like a solid ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like have to deal with people making comments about it at all? Like, have you ever had someone come in
Um,
and say something about your viewership?
not in a really long time. Not in a
Okay.
very, very long time. Oh, I've been really lucky. I've been very, very lucky that my viewership has been pretty consistent. Um, and it's just generally been upwards trending, right? I've never had a massive drop or anything. So I
Yay.
gotten really, really lucky on that aspect. But I do remember in my very first year streaming when I was tiny, tiny, tiny baby streamer, some being like, why is no one talking? Why is chat so quiet?
The classic.
The classic. But honestly, I've gotten happy. No, happy. I've gotten lucky. No one has commented on it ever since. Yeah, I'm really lucky. Genuinely, I
Ooh.
think a lot of people have had very negative experiences in the space. And I have just gotten so lucky that the vast majority of people I've spoken to have just been the loveliest people. I've not really had issues. Obviously, everyone has different tolerance levels of what is an issue, but
Hmm.
I just consider myself extremely lucky with the
Yeah.
experiences I've had. Yeah.
I think my experience overall has been good with viewers.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
that's
like a
good.
lot of the interpersonal relationships between streamers has been
Mm.
interesting.
It's really difficult to navigate. It is, it is difficult. I think the fact that it's VTubers adds a lot of layers of complexity.
Yes. If you had to give someone tips on how to navigate it, what would you tell them?
um, I think I think what you need to find is your people, right? I think there's a lot of different people in the community who have very different goals. Some people here just have fun, right? Some people just want to play a video game online. Some people actually want to be professional and grow and, do this full time. Some people here to make friends. I think what can be tricky is befriending people who have very different goals because it's kind of what you said at the beginning, right? Where you want to surround yourself with people with similar motivations and you want to hype yourself up, motivate each other. So if, you were to approach someone who just wants to vibe and take it easy, which is nothing wrong with that, but it might be difficult because you're just going to drift apart sometimes.
Hmm.
And I think, a lot of people are here because they want to be popular and they might not really care about making that many deep, genuine collections, which is also totally fine if you're doing this as a job. But I think finding someone who's in it for the same reasons makes it
Mm.
easier to not be disappointed, basically.
That is a very good tip. Yeah.
It's kind of hard though, right? Because you don't want to walk up to someone, gun to your head. What do you want?
Yeah. What are
But
your goals and expectations in the content creation space? I just
wiggles.
want to know before we take this conversation any further.
Exactly.
Like,
I would say keep yourself safe, Don't just give all of your personal information, all of yourself away.
mhm.
Just, give people time to actually figure out who they are and what they want and if you're actually vibing.
Yes. I do think that's a big thing in the space is people want to get close really quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone wants their close circle. And I think whenever you're seeing people like posting like, "Oh, I was hanging out with so and so," or seeing screenshots of people in Discord calls and
Mm,
like hearing about editing parties, it's like, "Oh, I want to be part of that." But it's like, are those really your people? Because I
yeah,
know
yeah.
I at one point did try to like force myself into a group almost by like changing
Mhm.
my personality and how I spoke, and I was just like, wait, like this isn't worth it. I'm
This is not me.
exhausted. Yeah, I'm exhausted trying to just like navigate this group, and now I don't even want to make content because all my energy is going into being accepted by people on the internet.
Honestly, see, I think because it is such a big community, I would say there's your people are out there. You just gotta find them.
How do you basically like keep your passion for content creation?
Oh, it's a hard one, isn't it? That's a real tricky one. I think I definitely go. I have highs and lows, and I don't know about you. I feel like this is this hobby has given me some of the highest highs, some of the
Mhm.
greatest joy, and some of the lowest lows.
Yes.
It's a real roller coaster. I definitely go through times where I'm like, oh, I just want to quit. What's the point? Why am I doing this? What a waste of money and time. And then I go through moments of like, this is amazing. I'm gonna do this forever. I think sometimes it's two things. It's reassessing what I actually want. I think this big moment that I talked about where I realized I've kind of hit my potential, right? Is a big one where you sit down, you're like, okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And what are other things I would rather do, right? Is it worth it? But I think for me, keeping the passion is also just being inspired by other people. I think things like conventions are super inspiring to me. So I think as long as I hang out with people enough, once in a while, I'll keep my passion.
Oh, I
Seeing
love that.
surrounding yourself by passionate people helps you keep the passion.
Oh,
And yeah,
definitely.
just sitting down and genuinely thinking, what do I enjoy about this? What do I want more of?
I feel like that's why I'm where I am now, because
Yeah.
I feel like essentially I started streaming because I was lonely and I wanted to create community for people,
Mm-hmm.
and I achieved that. Like, I kind of took a step back and I was like, okay, like, I've done some pretty cool things. I've done cool
Yeah.
events, I've met great people, I've accomplished my checklist for starting streaming, and now I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, okay, now I want to push myself and see how far I can go and what I can do, new content to create. But I think now that it's switching, it's almost like, what vessel do I want to use to achieve that? And I think that's why I'm currently like in a downward passion like section, because I'm like, I don't know what my goals are past that, or rather, I don't have anything obtainable to reach for because it's not like a solid enough reason yet. And so I think that's another big thing to keeping passion, is have a quantifiable reason is
That's
very, very
fair.
helpful. At least for me.
I
Maybe
agree. Because when I got partnered, right? Partner had been such a big goal for so long. Like the entire time I had been a streamer, it was like partner, 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 right? I think that is such a big goal for so many people. And then I got it. And first of all, I thought by the time I got partnered, I'd have it all figured out. I still don't know anything. Clueless, no idea what I'm doing. And also, it's like, what do I do now? Like, what's next? There's not super partner, I don't have a goal anymore. So that felt really, really weird.
Did it feel like, I don't know, did it feel like you kind of reached the end of like what you were going for at that point? Or was it like, just like, I don't know, because whenever you say it like that, it almost feels like you go live and you're like, what am I shooting for right now?
Yeah, no, I think for a long time, for a while, it definitely was that. I was like, what do I do now? I guess I could try and get 100 viewers. Yay! But I think there was a bit of a time where I was kind of aimless. I was like, what now? What do I shoot for? And then it was the moment of realization of, oh, nothing. And that's fine.
I love that. That's like what you came to. You're like, oh,
I'm good.
Nothing.
I got partnered, cool, I guess. Because again, everything further than that just felt very unachievable with the sacrifices I'm willing to make. So I'm like,
yeah.
hey, yeah, I guess I've done it. Good job, me.
Yeah, I feel like you hear stories about people that are like quote unquote successful, depending on how you frame it. I'll just say the big streamers talking about things that they did or situations they were in, and people are like, how inspiring. But realistically, if you got fired from your job and you were like, okay, I'm gonna try making this my main form of income, or if you were balancing everything in real life and then also staying up all night to like do these like streams and edit, and you're constantly exhausted, it's like, is it really worth it to you? How many of us truly love content enough to push ourselves that far?
Exactly. And I realized I don't want it badly enough. It's not me.
I feel like I think that's also like such a strange thing to battle with, is like, I would like to do better, I would like to do more, but I'm not willing.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
sacrifice certain things. Like for me, I go to bed at 10 p.m. I'm
Mhm.
an old lady. I don't like being on my computer after a while. On the weekends, I like don't even turn my computer on half the
That's
time.
so
Like,
healthy.
well, I'm usually just on the couch, like reading and watching TV, but but hey, at least I'm not at the computer. So it's like
Yeah,
those things
yeah.
for me are kind of like non-negotiables. Like I
Mhm.
don't want to sacrifice my me time. And I have a lot of me time. So it's like if I took that and I put
Mhm,
into content, oh my gosh, I'd be like a machine. But
mhm.
how would my mental health be, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. It's like, this is non-negotiable. It's just not
Yes.
gonna happen.
Has your mental health been affected at all by doing content?
Yeah, I think it's as I said, right? The highest highs and the lowest lows.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments where for some reason you had just an absolutely abysmal stream, like the vibes were off, viewership was down, and it just didn't feel fun, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
then you get off the stream and you're like, it kind of feels like it's all falling apart. You're like, "Oh my god, that's it, it's over," you know? "Why am I doing this? Oh, I've spent all this money, I've put all this effort and hard work, and no one likes me." You know? You kind of spiral, right?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, the worst case scenario, you're crying or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So
I've cried
I've
over a stream.
see, so it's just a bad stream. It holds such a power over you. I think it's because streaming is so all encompassing for a lot of us. It's like you
Yeah.
spent your entire life on this, right? Like your entire free time, so much money. You just invest so much.
Mhm.
And obviously because sometimes a lot of luck is part of it. And you don't get like that return on investment, it feels crushing. So I've definitely had time where I was like, screw all of this. I'm quitting. It's not worth it. I'm miserable. And then you'd have like a good stream. You're like, actually, sunshine rainbows. I'm so happy. Depression is cured. My skin is clear. All is good in the world. So I
Yes.
definitely, I definitely think it has had an effect. Um, I think I've never at least tried to make it full time, right? I think
Mhm.
in my mind, I was never gonna make it big. So I think I have managed to curb anything really bad. Like I've never been burnt out on it or anything. Um, I think I've gotten quite lucky that I haven't been super affected. But definitely, right? A bad stream
Mhm.
definitely drags you down. A good stream drags you up.
Wow. I love the way you think. It's like it's so fun to hear it just like it's very realistic because part of why I wanted to do this like show was
Yeah.
this is an industry whether you're doing YouTube or you're trying to become an influencer on Instagram or TikTok,
Hmm.
regardless of what it is, it's like the success rate is actually so small
Yeah.
that it's almost pointless if you're being a pessimist to like even
Hmm.
start
Hmm.
doing content creation to get big.
Yeah.
Like it is a I don't know. It's a rewarding hobby, but also it has a lot of things that you have to do to get to that point, and not everything works even if you follow it. Also,
Yeah, it's hard.
yeah, oh gosh, yes. I feel like the other thing is whenever you think about hobbies typically, it's like
Yeah.
let's say you picked up like I don't know, like adult gymnastics as a hobby. At least you can see like things improving constantly
Yeah.
and you're able to work towards it and you're constantly saying like, "Oh my gosh, I did this today." Like the first time you do a handstand, it's like, "Wow, I did a handstand." You're not going to lose that. That is now a
Yeah.
skill that you've earned and you get to keep with you. Whereas in content and especially streaming, you can climb a number and it can just go away for
Yeah.
any reason.
It's true. Sometimes you just have so little control over it and it doesn't feel great.
Yes. That is the big thing about it is the lack of control you have is
Yeah.
insane. People go back to school, numbers
Yeah.
down. Holiday
TwitchCon
comes
is
around. Oh
happening.
my gosh. Yeah. TwitchCon's happening, numbers down.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get a beta code for that game that everyone's obsessed with, numbers down.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that's outside of someone's control, which is yeah, it's definitely and right, I think it is difficult, right? Because at the same time, you can't just always blame external factors.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you are the problem. Sometimes you just messed up, and that's fine. But it's really difficult to balance the what is my fault, what isn't my fault. Because it's very
Yes.
tempting to be just like, well, no, I've been on the decline and no one's been watching me. But it's the algorithm. It's the algorithm.
Oh yeah.
At some point I'm doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm. I did see a tweet like that recently, actually.
Mm,
Was someone saying, like, if you're constantly complaining about the same things, sometimes it's
yeah.
okay to say it's a you problem.
Sometimes you are the common denominator.
No, I agree, though. I think it's really easy to say, like, it's not my fault, though. Because
Yeah.
I think, well, obviously, the key to success is exponential growth. So it's like,
Mhm.
if you're doing something that works, you kind of have to learn how to do the thing that works, and it's like you're
Mhm.
constantly adding on to give people more reasons to stick around. So
Yeah.
I think that's like the big thing for me, at least, is I found what worked for me and I just like didn't change anything. And yeah, my
It's
numbers
so
stayed the
hard.
same.
It is so hard because, not gonna lie, if you ask me to get partnered again, I'm not sure I could. I have no idea what I did.
Really? That's
Yeah,
actually crazy.
like if I did the exact same things again I've been doing for the last 3 years, I don't know if I would have the same results. Maybe I'd do better. Maybe I'd do worse. Who knows?
I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel that way whenever I see people make, like, if I had to restart streaming now, here's what I do
Mhm.
videos. Whenever I see those, I'm like,
Mhm.
ooh, would that actually work now?
I don't know, honestly. There's so many factors. So many things go into it. That's like, I don't
I
know.
know. Maybe one day I'll try. I'll follow a how to grow video step by step,
Mhm.
and I'll let you know how it goes.
I think the problem with those videos is that a lot of people will follow them step by step and then be disappointed because it didn't work.
Hmm.
Except, you have to do these things and then you have to get lucky.
Yes,
It is hard.
it is a
Man, it's
hard
so hard.
industry. It's also so fun though. But I do agree with you whenever you're like, I didn't think I was gonna like make it big. That's kind of
Yeah,
where I am too. I'm like, I just want to enjoy myself.
yeah.
I also could not do it for my entire life.
Oh gosh.
I'm very open about that. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
be
want to do it
online
full
forever.
time.
Yeah. Do you have like a traditional like 9 to 5?
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Do you think that like helps keep you kind of stable and almost like looking forward to
Mm.
streaming because it's like,
Oh
oh,
my
hey, I have this
gosh.
other thing.
Yes, honestly, I think a big reason it didn't massively affect my mental health to stream is because I've always almost always had a full-time job while I was streaming.
Hmm.
I think if I knew that a bad stream could impact me being able to pay rent, I would be emotionally devastated. I would be crushed. I think I cannot imagine the mental toll it would have on me if streaming was my full-time job. I just can't imagine. I recently got banned on Twitch because of a bot issue,
Oh, what?
basically. Yeah. So basically what happened is that my alt account got compromised, and because I use the same phone number on both accounts, my main account got caught in the crossfire, right?
Oh
It's nothing
no.
that was my fault, but it happens, right? And
Hmm.
Twitch was right to lock it down. But that does mean that for a while I was banned and I didn't have access, I didn't know what was happening, I didn't know if I was gonna get it back, right? And obviously that was really stressful and I was upset. But I just can't imagine if that had been my job, my source of
Oh yeah.
income, the reason, like the way I can eat tomorrow, right?
Hmm.
And the mental toll, like, hats off to anyone who can do it because I just can't. I'm not strong enough.
Yeah. I crave stability.
Yes, me too. I cannot handle this. Hey, I might just randomly get banned for something that is not my fault and just not make any money.
Yeah.
That is crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, having that
Yeah.
full-time job is such a relief.
It really is. It's a great thing to fall back on. Also, for me personally, I feel like having my full time job gives me a reason to want to do other things. Whenever
Mhm.
I am like, let's say it's like holiday and it's like a
Yeah.
random Monday, I will not stream if I don't have work because I'm like, oh, I don't need to. I emotionally
Mm,
feel no need to talk to other people right now,
right.
which is a big driving force in why I stream, is to kind of like unwind, relax, because I stream like 30 minutes after work because I work from home. Yay.
Yay.
So it's like I get offline and then I like have my little snack. I talk to my friends and I go, time to go live and play games. But like if I have a calm day and it's like, oh, you know what? I'd actually rather be productive and clean up or go for a walk or like run to the store, meal prep, like just random normal life things because I have that energy. Like, I don't know. If I did not have a 9 to 5 job and somehow could still live and exist, I would honestly just probably not be online ever.
Interesting.
I'm a normie.
I love that for you though.
I can unplug and I enjoy being unplugged.
That is so great. That is so healthy, honestly. Like, genuinely, one of the biggest advices, like, if people ask for advice, which people don't usually ask me for advice, I have terrible opinions. But when
No.
people do ask me for advice, the one that I always give is have another hobby.
Oh, yes,
You don't
please.
want this to be your whole life. It is so all-consuming. And if that viewer count number is what determines if you're happy or not, it's gonna be terrible. Like, that is just not healthy. You need something that has nothing to do with streaming. And I think that's the problem, right? I think a lot of streamers, their hobby is playing video games.
Yes.
And so when you take a break because you're burnt out from streaming, you're still sat at the same desk playing the same games. And that is not a proper break, right? And what has been the biggest relief whenever things weren't going great with content was, oh, thank God I've got something else to fall back to that is not gonna remind me every single second that my streams are not going good right now.
Oh, yeah.
Such a relief.
Yes. I love, like, sometimes, and it makes me sad whenever I do this to myself, whenever I'm like, oh, that was such a great stream. Let me check my numbers.
Yeah.
And then you look at the number and it's not what you expected. And then it
Yeah.
kind of feels like all of that joy is just kind of drained. You're like, oh, okay, never mind. It was not a good stream.
Yeah,
But
even though you had fun in the moment.
yeah, and it's like that is really what it's about, is enjoying yourself. And of course, if your goals are to grow, then yes, you should like reflect in how do I improve, but also, you know, enjoy the stream. But it's always nice whenever I have like that moment, that little like hint of sadness, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go do one of my other hobbies. I'm gonna do something else I know makes me happy. It's so nice to fall back on it.
It's so important, and I think it's one of the things that gets forgotten a lot.
I feel like my struggle is always getting back into content. I have girl boss too hard, and I've been hanging out with my friends a lot, and I've been going out a lot, and now I have not streamed for like 3 weeks.
You are truly living the normie life.
But then it also gets scary because like the pressure of coming back and knowing my numbers are going to be lower, because my like more casual viewers are like, okay, she doesn't stream. I'm gonna go watch someone else.
Yeah. Oh, that is a fear. Getting back into it is so stressful.
It is.
I am glad that I never was away for long.
What's the longest you've been away?
Like maybe 2-3 weeks.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah.
And like I got lucky because I think it was 3 weeks, but I was preparing for my 2.0, so my first stream back was a 2.0.
Okay, that's a good comeback though.
Yeah, so it's actually okay. It worked out fine. It balanced out. But see, I think that's a big issue as well, right? Is okay, you know, you're burnt out, you want to take a break from content, and so you take 2 weeks off. But then there's the stress of, oh my God, you know, I'll have drop off when I come back. And then it's like, okay, you know, I should do like a comeback event. But then planning the stream eats into your off time. And in the end, you didn't rest. You're just worried about coming back and plan this event. And then you didn't rest at all.
Exactly. I feel like that's another reason why it's so easy to burn out if you don't take the steps to balance it, is you really can think about it at all times. I've had dreams about streaming and I've woken up like tired.
Oh, I had a nightmare about streaming recently. I dreamt that I went live and then forgot I was live and then I just left. And then I checked my phone 4 hours later. My stream was still running.
So something I realized as I was going through your socials is that you like don't include a lot about your personal life. Is it to lean into your persona, or is that just for your general safety?
It's more the latter, honestly. My persona is just person online. I think it's a bit of So I think it's a bit of what you said at the beginning, where I'm like, I feel like I'm trauma dumping on people. Like, people don't need to know that work sucked.
Yeah.
I will be a bit more open on streams and like on Discord because I'm like, okay, they joined my server. They're in for a ride. Like, they signed up for this.
Yeah.
Well, like this random person who just randomly followed me on Twitter did not sign up for this.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of so many things. It's a bit of I don't want to trauma dump on people. It's a bit of I want my streams to be kind of a form of escapism. I
Mhm.
want my streams to be happy. I want them to be wholesome. I want them to be if people click on them, I want them to have a happy time, right? I don't want them to feel negative feelings watching me. So I try to keep all that energy out of it. And a lot of it is also just personal safety.
Mm.
So I don't say the city I live in. I just kind of do like having my privacy as well. It's a bit of a lot of things. And
Okay.
it's also like, it's not interesting. Who cares?
Yeah, it's like I am just a person, guys.
Yeah, literally. And there's just a lot of things that are just not worth putting out there.
Mm. I respect that. I like that you have like I guess boundaries for
Yeah.
what you put out into like the world and into your community because I know
Mm.
it can be very hard, especially whenever you're being so consistent
Mhm.
because I know you have like a schedule obviously. But
Yes, I can't live without.
yes, shout out schedules.
Oh, I love them.
But obviously, whenever you build out a schedule in advance, it's like that thing where you're like, oh, now I have to go to plans that the extrovert version of myself decided to sign up for. Like, I feel like streaming can feel like that, where it's like, okay, I made the schedule, I have to do it. But man, today kind of sucked. And you just have to like push through it and make other people's day better.
Oh, see, I don't actually feel that way.
Really?
Streaming really cheers me up. Whenever I have a hard day, I know I can rely on my community to cheer me up.
Oh.
Like, if I go live and I'm like, oh, guys, today kind of sucked, people will just be so nice to me that I will feel better. I have never had a bad day and felt worse after streaming.
Oh.
Um, Genuinely, I'm really, really lucky that it always, always has cheered me up. And also, my life is ruled by my schedule. That's why I can't, if I didn't have a schedule, I would never stream. If it's not in the schedule, I don't do it. In my mind, what is in the schedule is what I'm mentally preparing myself for, and that's what I want to do. So if it says stream, I'm like, okay, tonight I'm gonna stream. I want to stream. And if I end up not streaming, I'll be like, oh man, but I wanted to stream. The same way around, if it doesn't say stream in the schedule, I don't want to stream. I'm ruled by the schedule.
Whenever I have a bad day, I have to force myself to start. And then once I get into it, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I did this.
Yeah.
My community's a bit more troll, definitely less wholesome
Yeah.
than yours from what I've seen. Your community is so nice.
I think I set very firm boundaries. I do not want. I think it happened so quickly. And sorry, I'm kind of cutting off you.
Oh no,
you
no,
off here,
you're
but
good.
I see, and I'm sure you must have seen those tweets as well, where someone just reaches a breaking point because it starts with like haha fun teasing by your friends, and then everyone else joins in, and suddenly you realize that for 6 months people have been dogpiling on you, just being mean to you for the lol. And you're like, oh my god, actually I've had a terrible time. And you play along because you want to be a good sport, and at first it's fun, and then you realize it's gone too far, and you don't know how to stop it. I don't want that to ever happen to me. I think the moment I don't like my community and don't look forward to speaking to those people, it's over. I have failed. I never ever want to step into me. I set very, very firm boundaries. I'm like, this, no. Whenever I have new mods, like, I'm making this very clear. We do not do the bully the streamer thing. It's just not gonna happen. I don't want this. No. So I think now it has led to there's some teasing, which is fine. It goes both ways. But yeah, no, I will never be bullied by my community. I just won't have it happen. But I really struggle to cut out people who are well-meaning but still break boundaries. I find that so challenging. And I don't know about you, but sometimes, for example, you'll have people come in and they mean well. They don't mean any harm, but their behavior is just inappropriate. And I don't know how to handle those things because I feel so bad banning them because I don't mean to be mean, but I'm like, This is not okay. I'm so uncomfortable, but you're not trying to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want to just like remove you immediately.
Yeah, it feels bad.
I feel like the hardest thing for me is I don't want to just like point you out and be like
Right.
that you did this wrong. Whenever you're live, you kind of have to like stop it in the moment. I think that's one of the hardest things about the platform
That's
is
fair.
like real time boundary setting can be very
That's a good
uncomfortable.
point. That's a really good point, yeah.
Are there any last things you'd like to say about content, about
Oh my
yourself?
gosh. Um, oh my god, we've talked about so many things.
We have. We touched a lot of points today.
We did. No, thank you. Today has been really, really fun. I hope you can, regain that passion and go, be back on the content grind if that's what you want, and that you can get back into it. I've had a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it was so nice talking to you. Please plug your social so people know where to find you.
Oh, geez. Okay. I am CptCamille on Twitch and most other socials, except Twitter, where the name was already taken, where I am CptCam_Reti.
Love it.
Yeah. Great one there. But yeah, CptCamille on most socials. If you're a content creator out there and you're struggling, hey, don't worry, everyone is. We all just pretend we know what we're doing, and you've got this.